Hey everybody, this is Tyson.
And Logan.
And you're listening to Dad, Bods, and Beards podcast. It's a show that gives you a fresh look on being a father, a husband, and honestly, a man being in today's world.
For people who want to have a good time, laugh, and be uplifted, thanks for subscribing and listening. Now for the show. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Dad, Bods, and Beards. It is Logan and Tyson here. We don't have another guest in studio today. We just had Corbin on last episode. That dude is cool.
He was amazing.
Why are you in your movie announcer voice right now? Is it because we were trying to find voices for TikTok? Yeah. So yeah, we were trying to help Tyson edit a video and find one of the voiceovers, and now I think you should go with the Mickey Mouse one, honestly.
It's true.
But
what I'm really going to do is I'm just going to say what I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
Be who I want to be. Let the words fall. I promise you.
Yeah, it's like we literally talked about with
I will set you free.
that you hate music. You don't hate music. You don't really love music, but you have all these lyrics stuck in your head.
You know what I don't prefer?
What?
Underwear. No. Concerts.
Oh, dude, I don't like concerts.
I'm not a concert fan.
I would like concerts to go with the people I'm going with.
Yeah.
I don't care to sit there and watch. I don't get the whole. It gives me anxiety to just be in crowds of people. The only crowd of people that I will gladly be in is Disneyland.
See, and I have a hard time with Disneyland.
No, dude, we're Disney freaks. We love it.
You are a Disney freak.
So is Robert.
We call him Roberto in our house.
Roberto.
He's Gregarious.
If you know, you know. But today we're going to talk about an event that we went to a little while ago. Connect and Conquer. You guys saw some of our stories on Instagram and stuff. Connect and Conquer.
And hopefully our video came out by now.
Yeah. I feel like Connect and Conquer is our pack.
Oh, 100%.
So if you guys go back to Brock Painter's episode, where Brock, who is the owner of Neuromastery, and he has a very different, but I feel like a very healthy and a very honestly realistic approach to mental health that is very poignant for me. Like it's working very well. Just since I've gotten to know him and his approach, and I'm now working with him, right, and kicking off more as I get more in depth with him. But I've listened to his episode, obviously, a bunch of times because I do a lot of the clips. Mm-hmm. But I've found myself listening to it 2 more times since it's aired.
Oh, it's good.
He's so good at freaking talking, and
that's why he's my coach and your coach soon.
And one of the things that I think that he said that was the most impactful when you're talking about somebody who's dealing with severe anxiety or depression or things like that is not so much like a chemical imbalance like he talked about with maybe more schizophrenia or borderline personality disorder, things like that are not so much just emotionally based. He said to help a sick dog, you put them in a healthy pack. And I feel like through everything that we've gone through in the last year with the guys at Connect and Conquer, we've 100% found our pack. Mm-hmm. And that is made up of Brock with Neuromastery, Sean. We had Sean Finnegan on the show, and then
Bronson Kafusi
was in there, and then Here Brotherhood, which is John and Mike, and it was so humbling to be a part of that. We got to speak, we got to get up for 15 minutes and share the Dad, Bods, and Beards story, how it came about, and how my story led us to where we're at, and your story led us to where we're at, and it was a really special event. I enjoyed it. You keep beating yourself up.
I don't know if it's beating myself up. It's just kind of what we talked about is it's not normal. It's out of my norm. Yeah. It's out of my wheelhouse.
Out of norm for you?
Yeah. Because it's not that it's wrong, because we preach that you should be that way. Vulnerable. Vulnerable does not mean crying. Vulnerable just means you're letting yourself accept yourself and accept what's happened and be open and be loving and be kind to yourself. And not that I've never done that before, but never in that setting.
Mm-hmm. So you guys have heard us talk about Connect and Conquer, and this is the second event they've put on. We're going to be probably putting them on, I'd almost think monthly at this point.
Yeah, I hope so.
So they're basically smaller meetups, and there will be periodic larger festivals. Mm-hmm. Oh, I forgot, Trevor's involved with Mountain Ops.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Which Mountain Ops, you guys are going to hear us say periodically, but they're obviously one of the main sponsors of the show. Freaking love their stuff, dude. I am all over the hydration packets right now. I did not realize
However,
how dehydrated I was.
However, at 9 p.m., don't drink.
Don't do pre-workout.
Don't do pre-workout because you will be up until 2,
Well,
3
yeah,
o'clock
because
in the morning.
theirs is like cardiovascular base, right? It opens up.
Dude, I had the
freaking
best. I did it. It was Friday night around 10 o'clock when I got to the gym, and I got home at around 11:30 at night, and I had the best pump.
Wired,
Dude. It was like the gym was empty because everyone's on date night, and I went with Candace, so it was fun.
I went
like,
to Olive Garden with my wife.
No, but Candace and I, like, it was a fun date. So
Candace. Oh, cool.
yeah,
That's
so
fun.
we did this Stairmaster together, and then we did the treadmill
Did
together.
you have her go on the one in front of you so you were motivated?
No, they're side by side.
Oh, dang.
So, but every now and then,
Yeah.
a little squeeze.
You're like, oh, sorry, she's on this side. The dude looking at you is like, what the?
That was a little bit hairy. I'm sorry. Love the calves. Your name must be Gregaria. No, but it's funny though. I'm like, after 22 years, she's like, just stop. I'm like, Candace,
You're like,
after
no,
22
no,
years,
I'm never gonna stop.
this is my butt. There's no other butt I can have. I chose this butt.
Yeah.
And then as I was saying it, because we were walking, because I squeezed her butt as we were going up the stairs into her home, and she said that, and I said that, and the kids were in there as I was walking in there.
Ew. And you're like, how'd you think you got here? Shut up.
You had the maturation
I joke
class.
with I joke with my kids all the time of that. Like, I'm like, well, yeah, mommy's basically my girlfriend. Like, because mine are 6 and 8. And they're like, ew, and I'm like, you have no idea.
And my littlest daughter Hattie, she's like, kiss mom.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're freaking me out.
I don't know how we got to this, but basically, yeah.
Oh, we're working out.
Yeah.
But anyway, with Mountain Ops.
It's a family company.
No, but then we did shoulders, and Candace is using dumbbells, and I'm using barbells and stuff, and we made the video of it just a little bit. But then we went to the sauna and sat there next to each other and just
got all cozy and sweaty.
no, we're definitely. I'm like, yeah, mate,
You're
so
like,
hot.
I'm dripping.
She wouldn't touch me, but
That's
it's
funny.
so hot. But then we did the massage chairs.
Most house chairs are nice,
They are.
but
But the lady next to me, like, she didn't wash it down
ooh,
afterwards, and it really grossed me out.
it gave me chills in the
I
worst
know.
way.
So always wipe down your stuff before you use
Yeah.
it, because there's sometimes weird people.
But yeah, that so yeah, Connect and Conquer is that. I don't know how to. I'm just gonna cruise right past that. So Connect and Conquer is Hero Brotherhood. It's Brock, Sean Finnegan, and Trevor from Mountain Ops, and now us, because I was like, dude, we are sold. You went to the first one on your own, which was the big festival. It was the kickoff.
It was a really
Conquer.
cool one,
And then we went to this one together because they asked us to speak.
and it was still cool.
This one was a little bit more smaller, a little bit more intimate group. It was only 50 people. And it was at Bronson Kafusi, which Bronson Kafusi was a former BYU football player that went on to play for the Ravens, the Jets, and
Green Bay, 7 years.
Dude's got a freaking Super Bowl ring. Dude is huge.
Yeah, he's tall.
He is like, you think you've met a tall person before? Isn't he like 6'7"?
I think 6'9".
Dude, he was big.
Yeah.
Big dude. I mean, his name, Bronson Kafusi. Like, it fits the...
Oh, yeah.
But his wellness center, we're going to get more in depth about what happened there. But basically what Connect and Conquer is, it's in the name. Connecting, solidarity. We have found that as you gather together in a pack of like-minded men, and even men that maybe don't necessarily think on like an open, vulnerable level yet. A buddy of mine, he lives down the street. You call him Big Sexy Teddy. He and I were going to the gym together for a long time. He's become a really good buddy of mine. He's a super big supporter of Dad Bods. He came, and he was very...
Jeff loved it too.
Yeah, Jeff came too. He was very surprised and glad that he came, because we did breath work. If you've never done breath work, we'll talk about that. That was really,
It's weird
really
what it
intense.
does.
But that's the point of Connect and Conquer, is that you realize that when you come together in solidarity with a group of men that are just trying to better themselves in the best way possible, just the camaraderie and the pack mentality of it inspires so much. I don't know, so much growth and like thought and connection. Like, dude, I'm on so many group texts now. It's like,
And I'm just like, no,
no,
I'm not on.
well, you're on that one with Brock out yesterday and a couple other ones.
I'm just joking.
But no, you're on every one of them that I'm on the group text with. You're on it as well. But
Okay. Well, you said so many.
But as these events come up, we're gonna be dropping the links. We're gonna be dropping stories and things like that. Right now, they're all primarily going to be in Utah. We will probably do some more. Brock has big plans. You know, John has big plans.
Well, we have big plans.
We've got big plans. So I think that as that grows, they will probably have more events. But in my mind, they might be worth traveling to because that was an out of body experience, literally, that I had.
Mm-hmm.
You had your more out of body experience on the first one that I didn't get to go to because I was in Tahoe.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I had to go through all the trips I go on.
Yeah. I'm pooping.
But no, so we got connected with Connect and Conquer through John originally through your brotherhood, and it all started because that one ice bath sauna event I went to. Came out of it super clear minded and then just word vomited you for like 2 hours. I'm like,
loved it.
Oh my gosh, we need to do this. Oh my gosh, we need to jump in with these guys.
Was it a cold plunge like we experienced?
It was the same exact place.
Oh, that's right.
Because it was their first event.
So that's why you were more of a not a wuss.
Well, yeah, I'd already done it once.
Okay.
Yeah. But that's the thing that was the first time that so John was like, hey, you should come to this event. It's a Connect and Conquer. You should come to the kind of pre-kickoff party that pretty much people who are going to help like influence people to go.
Mm-hmm.
And they invited me to go. This was like a couple of weeks before. And that's where I met Sean for the first time. This right here is proof that you should meet people regardless of whatever your preconceived notions are or the absence of notions. Sean just seemed like a regular dude to me, and he was there. He's just sitting there and he was chatty, he was super nice or whatever. And I was a little bit more introverted, which is interesting.
You were nervous.
Had I known who Sean was, I would not have skipped a beat. I'd have gone right up, shook his hand,
like you did
right
Steve
in
Young?
his face, right in his face, like I did with Steve Young. That was cool. But I didn't even. I think I chatted with Sean for 2 minutes at that first event, and since then, Sean has become immeasurably invaluable to us. Like you can't put a number. Is that the right word? Invaluable.
Yeah, valuable.
Yeah. Invaluable, meaning like you can't put a price on him.
I just like
jazz hands. But that's what I'm saying is like that because of that one event that like skyrocketed us into like some of the success we're having right now and connected with these amazing guys. And now we're a part of an even bigger movement than ourselves where all of these like-minded individuals are coming together with the hopes of adding value and impacting more lives. And that just gives me the chills, gives me all warm and fuzzy.
You know, I can always tell where I'm seriously thinking and looking and hearing is my head starts to get crooked.
Yeah, and you're staring at the ear hair that I need to wax, apparently.
Dude, it's pretty bad.
It's pretty bad.
You're like 80 years old.
I got like...
Well, you'll be able to hear so well.
I have a theory.
Yeah.
Men don't lose hair. It just comes out other places as you get older.
Sure, it's true. You could braid my butt. I'm just joking.
Weird.
It's like...
So let's talk about.
Candace, like, can I braid your hair today?
Your back hair. Well,
so gross.
we got up and spoke a little bit, and the best part is like I remember we talked about it for weeks. Like, oh, we gotta make sure we know it backwards and forwards. I know your part, you know my part,
and we worked hard, and I had a whole.
You had an outline. We did the night before we hopped on basically like a Zoom call, and we went over everything. And I had you send me your outline, and then before it was really like really well planned out. And then I think I just pre-scripted it. I started out, and I did not go the way that I thought I was going to. I just kind of started following my heart. And then it's very different. Like we'll throw out podcasts all day long to thousands and thousands of people, if not more than that.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it's just 'cause it's just us sitting here. But getting up in front of there, I was like, oh my gosh, do I get stage fright? Like I got a little bit of stage fright at first. And then when it came to your turn, it was a little bit of a different approach than I think you intended it to be.
Oh, I only got like a tenth of what I prepared.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I wasn't nervous at all. Like, because
you're not a nervous guy. You present all the time. You teach.
And so I wasn't. But then all of a sudden, I had I heard what you said and the way you said it, and it got me all emotional. I'm like, oh, I love Logan. So I gave you like a side hug. I'm like, all right, how can you not love this guy? And all of a sudden, I'm like, yeah. And I like for the next 7-8 minutes, I just like
Yeah.
cried and talked at the same time about, hey, these are my struggles. These are what I've been going through, and this has been hard, but I'm so grateful for it, and I'm so grateful that where I'm at right now. But it wasn't always easy.
Well, and I love one thing. I don't know if you picked up on it, but I love that amongst all of the emotion that you're expressing, which I was telling you, multiple people have told me since then, to just feel that emotion from you, and like that room full, like it was like palpable, like to feel how intensely people were like sucked into what you were saying. And I think in the moment when you're emotional, you don't think that you're making a lot of sense. Like I do this about myself too.
Yeah.
You think that you're tripping over your words.
Oh, I felt like I didn't make any sense.
But when you're emoting like that, it just draws people in, and they don't necessarily have to hear what you're saying, that you can feel what you're saying. And that's where I say that humans are connecting creatures. Like they can feel it. Right. And one thing that I love that you did amongst kind of going off script, but still on script a little bit, is you also shared a major win for Copper Johns in that massive contract that you landed with 7 figures.
Yeah.
Like that's massive.
Uh-huh.
So I love that. And then the whole room freaking erupted and clapped it for you.
I know. I thought that was
clapped for you, because it's also a room full of a bunch of entrepreneurs. So they all are like, that's massive. So it's not just like it was like this obligatory clap. Like there was like Sean was like freaking slapping his hands together.
Yeah.
He was so happy, so proud for you. And to me that was like very moving to see, because you're in the middle of a very emotional state that you were not prepared for
at all.
You were prepared.
Well, that's kind of like we talked about with our personality test. It's like, that's not me. And it's not that when people are like that, that's okay. That's wonderful. Yeah. And I preach it that you should be that way. Mm-hmm. It doesn't happen to me.
Yeah. And that's why I said this a couple of times, but like you were kind of subconsciously stepping back, because I think that, you know, you get emotional, you kind of, as a man, sometimes you recluse. Right?
Yeah. Oh no, this is all new to me. That was,
but
new
like
to me.
I was feeling it, and I could see that you were feeling it. And like Tommy filmed it all. We got it mic'd up, so we're gonna get that footage out if it's not out already. And I wonder, I want to see if you can see me. Like I would step back to match you, to try to get you, and then like step forward.
Did it work?
I don't remember, because
okay.
I was really sucked into what you were saying. I think I was subconsciously trying to get you to step forward, because it was kind of like Robert says, like stand in your power.
Yeah.
A lot of guys view emotion as weakness, but like to me, it is a superpower.
When I was going through it, I just remember, like, I think I was so emotional because I'm coming out of it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense. Like, it was the hardest time in my life.
Oh yeah, it's exceptionally hard, dude.
There's certain aspects of my life that are extremely hard still, but not on the personal level.
Yeah.
And it's just like in talking about it and how I've been able to overcome it, my family's been able to overcome it, all this kind of stuff. It's just, it hit me in a different way than it's ever done.
Well, it's like Brock said, dude. Like when you think about, you know, like instead of trigger avoidance, it's like trigger tolerance, right? And then instead of burying all these things that have happened, instead of burying things that are hard, you tolerate triggers. You learn to tolerate and accept that triggers are going to be everywhere, and then you befriend those negative, hurtful emotions. And this is going to sound maybe narcissistic, or maybe sound a little bit, I don't even know the word for it, but like use them to your advantage. Like use those emotions to your advantage. Use those hard times to like that you experience to motivate you, or use those to be impactful, use those to be able to connect with people. And I want to talk about that in a minute, of like what I experienced with the breath work. And then the last one is take action. So like learn to tolerate and understand when these triggers happen, that they're just going to be what they are, and you can't expect everybody to avoid emotional triggers. And then befriend all those harsh, you know, feelings, negative feelings, ups and downs, and then learn how to take action with them. And so I thought it was very healthy that you experienced all of that in front of a group of people, because one, that drove home our message more than anything either of us said. Because like I said, just everybody feeling like that emotion radiating off of you was like literally the definition of like, you are so emotionally invested in what we're doing, that I almost wonder if that did more for you than anybody else.
I think it did.
Yeah.
Like it really felt, and Isaac was there. My son, my oldest son was there, and maybe that helped a little bit because he saw what we went through.
Yeah, that was
he
powerful.
was a part of it, and I saw him getting teary eyed and stuff like that. And
because one thing that in the social media world, emotion sells, and there are a lot of things that men's mental health and men's wellness is becoming more popular, and I think there are some people that see that and they've tried to capitalize on it, and which is fine to an extent. But to me, that was more so of kind of like, yeah, we belong here in this group, because there is there is like the emotional drive behind it. What we're trying to do is so emotionally ingrained in us that it's more we really want to actually help, and we're not just trying to like sell a program or like, hey, you know, be a part of my program and I'm gonna yada yada.
We really care.
So, which there are a lot of very healthy programs out there, because it takes people time and effort to be able to, like, they got to be able to make a living to support their family to offer this service. So I'm not slamming that. I'm just saying, like, it's great to feel that from you and be able to see that projected.
Yeah, it's one thing that I feel like you and I are is this is us. Like, you meet us, this is us.
Yeah, we had an episode called "This Is Us."
Oh yeah, this is me.
Yeah, I love that movie, by the way, dude. I love The Greatest Showman.
It is good.
It's because I'm a creative.
It's gregarious.
We're gonna need a shirt that just says gregarious. We don't know the definition. But
we're gonna get messages all day about what gregarious means.
Yeah, I know. We're gonna have to just do a clip just so somebody will share the definition. Even though we have smartphones, we can look it up right now. But I want to talk about the breath work. So you do not Google gregarious right now. Oh, that's so funny.
So we'll see if it's a gay pirate or not.
No, it's probably not. I doubt it's in the personality test episode we did. That's what he's talking about.
Gregarious definition. Fond of company, sociable. He was popular and gregarious man. Living in flocks or loosely organized communities.
So,
growing in
so
open clusters.
Yeah, like,
growing in open clusters in a pure association.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, I'm pretty gregarious. But I want to talk about breath work. I've never been open to it before. And you were probably less open to it than I was.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, because you're a little bit more, I don't want to say closed. It's not closed-minded. That's not the word.
No, it's more
skeptical.
Like, yeah, is this really going to be useful?
Sure. But you did breath work at the big festival. It was outside.
Yeah, and so before we go into yours, we'll go into mine then.
Yeah.
So,
but what is breath work though?
Crazy amount of breathing for 30 straight minutes. You take 2 deep breaths in at the same, like.
Yeah, no, you're pulling breath.
Yeah,
in,
you're
right?
pulling breath in.
So you're like.
Yeah, and then you release, but not fully, and then you do it again, and you do it for 30 straight minutes of that. Yeah. And you have your like I will wear an eye mask.
It's better to have like the eye sensory removed.
Yeah,
like the vision.
And I have a couple of those, and but then you're listening to more of a holistic type of sound, like more calming music and stuff like that, and so it's just like you're just breathing. And you're not really necessarily thinking of anything, but what happens is your hand starts to tingle, your body starts to tingle.
Because you're like over oxygenating your blood. Yeah.
And you're not really moving, and you're just contemplating life, all that kind of stuff. It's just what things pop. And what happened is all of a sudden, out of the blue, I started picturing my family. And I started picturing like
legit picturing, like visions. Yeah.
Of my family and all my work and how I'm going towards it. I'm working for them. I'm doing this. I'm doing this. I'm doing this. And then all of a sudden it just, we're all died. Like physically we're all dead. And the only thing that mattered was my family, that they were there with me in whatever form it was in afterlife. It was just, we were there. And I was so happy that we were there. And so just nothing else mattered.
Yeah. Like
my kids and my wife were there. And that's all I ever want. And so I didn't realize that. Like I realized it, but it was like it happened.
Yeah.
And I've never felt joy like that, to the point where I'm just like, holy crap. Like my family is everything.
Yeah.
And like I am doing this for them. But what's even more important is me being there for them.
Sure.
And I think, there's a quote for the thing.
100%.
But and I'm sitting here crying. I guess I cry a lot.
You do. You do.
Twice.
You're welcome.
But I'm sitting here crying, and so my mask that I'm wearing is all just sopped.
Yeah.
And what happened is John and Mike will come and kind of during the breath work, they'll touch you.
Yeah,
they'll touch your heart and head like this, and they'll just do this, kind of connect you. And right when he did that, that's when I saw my family.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, and all of a sudden, my chin started to quiver, and the tears just were coming out. Yeah. And it was a very spiritual experience, even though and spiritual doesn't mean religious. Spiritual just means holistic. Like it was hard to explain if you've never experienced it.
So like,
yours is amazing.
Well, yours is too.
Oh no. I agree. Like I needed that. I didn't know I needed something like that until I went through it. Like I needed that.
And that's what the one thing before I kind of share what happened with mine. I was very jealous of that because you went to that event and I was in Tahoe and I'm like, gosh, that sounds amazing. I know some people have done breath work and they talk about how amazing breath work is.
It's very opening.
And it makes me realize that we've talked about the fact that like humans are like an antenna, right? And that consciousness, whether you are religious or not, consciousness is consciousness. And that it's been proven by different studies that like consciousness leaves the body when you die. Where it goes, nobody is 100% certain of yet, right? But it means that it exists outside yourself. And so that's where, does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it exists outside of yourself. And I think the breath work is a way that you can connect to that. So,
yeah. And people listening that might not believe in this stuff, that's totally okay. But it's real. Give it a shot. Excuse me. Like it's something that I was very skeptical. Now I'm like, oh, when do we get to do it again?
It's like you almost get high off of your own breath. I've never tripped. Like I've never been high. I've had many, many manic episodes.
Let's talk about yours because yours, like you said, mine was important. Mine was special. Mine will always be a part of me because I needed that at that moment because of the things I was going through. Because I feel like, oh, Copper Johns, oh, work, oh, Dad, Bods, and Beards, like that's everything so that I can actually provide for him. Yeah. And then in the end, it's like, no, those are just tools. Your family is what you're there for, and so I needed that.
Well, that's what it's for. It's for you.
Mm-hmm.
And then I love that the next time you had it, yours was a little more creative.
Mm-hmm.
So you got that crazy emotional connection out of the way with the first one.
And the second one was all these ideas came to me like, I want everyone else to feel this.
Yeah.
And I want to do this. I want to do like Dad, Bods, and Bears. I want to do a live where you and I talk about us, about our experiences and stuff like, and then bring people individually and let them tell us a small story of what they're going through and being able to connect with us. And then,
which could almost segue mid-episode shameless plug. We are putting a lot of effort into the Dad, Bods, and Beards YouTube right now. So if you're not checking us out or subscribing to the Dad, Bods, and Beards YouTube, go check that out. Got some amazing big things coming there. It's going to be really exciting, which we'll probably include maybe like a monthly live. I think we should 100% do that.
I think we should. And bring people on too.
Yeah, 100%.
I really like people from the listeners.
So that we can just more like connect with them and chat with
them. The whole point of like, I really do believe that people need to be heard and loved. And so let's bring people on.
I think with me, when it came to my first time with breathwork, I think I psyched myself up to it in the best way possible because I was excited. I was excited to do it because you spoke so highly of it. Brock speaks so highly of it. I was like, ooh, I'm excited for this. By the way, Mike from Here Brotherhood, he's got, I'll have to link it in this.
Calming voice.
Yeah. He does breathwork. Like he has a business that they do it. I'll have to link him because I'm trying to convince Chelsea to go do a couple session with me. Cause it was,
are we doing the November thing? It's crazy. We'll talk later.
Oh yeah. The Here Brotherhood retreat. I think we're going to try to,
and we'll be roomies.
Yeah. Roomies. But I psyched myself up to it because I was really excited. I brought my yoga mat, I brought an eye mask or whatever. I was really excited. But essentially, you're laying on the floor on a yoga mat, which the guys in yoga mats like are not normally synonymous. Some guys are, but so it was just interesting to be laying on a yoga mat. I don't think I've ever done that. But laying there, the music starts. Mike's talking about all of this. The reason behind breath work, he's talking about why we do breath work. And then he's like, whether you're spiritual or not, basically the biblical and Hebrew, like translation of like Yahweh is the sound of breathing when it like the Hebrew.
I thought that was really, really
I'm like,
cool.
wow, that was really intense because I'm not a super religious guy. Right. And so
every time you breathe, it's the name of God.
Yeah. So that was really interesting. And I love that he prefaced it of like, take this how you will. He's like, it doesn't mean you have to think this way. He's like the breath, yada, yada, yada. Anyways, then I started being like maybe a little bit more skeptical. Like maybe this will just be relaxing for me to just lay here with an eye mask on, more calming music because I don't really have a calm mind.
Isaac fell asleep.
If nobody can, well, of course, yeah. he's just like a slightly more grown teenager. Right?
Yeah.
Just that whole the early 20s is fun. But I'm thinking I'm just gonna relax. It's dark. I'm comfortable. Calming music or whatever. And then I start doing the breath, and I thought I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have a hard time keeping this up, right? Like. Like I'm like, this is gonna be really hard to keep up because you're pulling it into your gut, and he's like, pull it into your gut and then pull it into your chest and then let it fall out. And I'm like, oh, this is gonna be hard to keep up. And then you find yourself very subconsciously like keeping it up.
Yeah.
And then the oxygen, you get like oxygen high, and then I think it lets you start. It just kind of like you start letting go. And then there was the whole like, keep your palms down means you're grounded. If you keep your palms up, it means you're open and to receive. You put your hands out to the side, then you're like, it was. I love that he explained all this stuff and it opened me up to more of the reality of like human connections, vibrations, frequencies, like, the chakras, all that stuff. I know it sounds very like witchy woo woo type stuff, but it's very enlightening. And so I started feeling the typical, like, the love for my wife and love for my children. I didn't realize I carry a lot of guilt. I carry a lot of guilt from my really dark times.
Did you talk to your wife about this?
Yeah.
Cool.
And I processed a lot of guilt. In a very short amount of time. Started feeling a little bit higher forms of self-love. Not that I was 100% like, it's okay, everything that happened. It was more so like, it happened and it's in the past, but let that be a lesson to you. And then one of the feelings that I had was because of just kind of like the spiritual kind of faith journeys I've been on for a long time and not 100% knowing, which I don't really feel like you have to 100% know. If it if it matters to you, sure. But before I get into the really heavy one, I'm going to share this one. I think I shared this with you. But I found myself having a very real out-of-body experience like I'd never had in my entire life. Like I have a very vivid imagination. But as I started to kind of get deeper, I started freaking out because I was like, I can't get to this stage. I started feeling like reminiscence of like a manic episode, and those are dangerous for me with being bipolar. So I started getting really scared. But then one of the guys came over, and I think it might have been Mike because he ended up like grabbing my ankles and kind of like grounding me. So that made me feel more like, okay, this is okay. I had my knees up and he kind of grabbed my ankles and pulled my legs flat. And I was like, okay, like I'm okay. This is fine. I can do this. And I found myself like falling up. Like in my mind, I was falling up, like into the sky. And then I started saying to myself, like, who are you? Like, where are you? What are you? Like kind of almost like the God questions, right? And then I had this overwhelming feeling of like, it doesn't matter because you're who I need you to be. Whoever answered that, whether it was myself or whoever, it doesn't matter. It's that I felt it. And then I started getting upset. I was like, why? Like, why did I have to go through this? Why did I have to put my wife through this? Why did I have to put my children through this? Like, why did I have to put, my parents through this? Like all of just the hate and the pain and the anger I had for this dark time in my life. And then the feeling I had after that, don't take this so literal, but it was more of a feeling that I had was I had to be broken so that I could be built. So I know how to connect with people who are broken. So it's almost, I hope that doesn't sound narcissistic, but it was just kind of like, you got to know how to feel the darkness to be able to like shine a light on it. And that was just like, so like mind boggling to me. And then as soon as it clicked, like I had to break you so I could build you. And then it was like, boom, I fell to earth and I was like slammed back down on my spot. And I'm like, this crazy out of body experience. And then I started just seeing all of these beautiful memories of my family, right? Things that I experienced because I stayed, things that I've experienced because I've fought, right? And then there's a time at the very end where you start to come out of it, where it's a guided like calm down session. And Mike said he wants everybody to turn to their left and get into the fetal position. And normally fetal is associated with being in the womb and feeling secure and feeling comfortable. I didn't have that feeling. It got more intense for me. I started, the best way I know how to describe this was like, I started feeling well, maybe I should give a little bit of a trigger warning. I'm going to talk about suicide for a moment. So if it's hard for anybody to hear these type of things, you can skip forward a few minutes or just turn it off. But I turned to the side and I turned to my left side and I kind of got into the fetal position. And then I found myself like pulling tighter and tighter and tighter into the fetal position, like crossing my arms in front of my chest, like death gripping my, like my fists together. And I started feeling all of these really intense emotions about suicide. And I thought it was just reminiscent of my own. And then I started having feelings and thoughts that I didn't recognize as my own. And I started recognizing them as like, these are thoughts and feelings of just men out there who are in their darkest times. Like, I don't know how to explain that I was feeling the emotions of other men that were suicidal. Like, I was feeling the emotions of guys that were they were in their last moments. They had the final straw just broke the camel's back. They are moments before ending everything. And I went back to our episode with Danny and talking about her husband, Denny, who died by suicide. And I found myself almost like having a vision of me sitting in the car where Denny was when they found him. But I was Denny. And I'm like looking at my hands. I didn't recognize my hands. And I looked in the mirror and I realized I was him for a second. And the moment before, I felt such deep, intense pain that I was sobbing. My eye mask was soaking wet. I was like hyperventilating, sobbing because I felt this like, I don't pretend to know exactly how anybody felt, but to me that was reminiscent of my times that I felt like I was done. And it was so unbearable is the only word I could think of, that like I was like, I have to get out of here, but I was stuck in this fetal position. I was hyperventilating. I was freaking out. And I felt like it was moments before Denny's passing. And I couldn't handle it. I legitimately felt in that moment that I felt like I was dying. And I know for a fact that it was John, because you can just, you feel your friends. Mm-hmm. John, in that moment, right before I felt like it was just coming to a head and it was over. John came over, plopped his hand right on my heart and his other hand on my head, and just I could feel like this brotherly love just kind of radiating through him. And in that moment, he puts his hand on my heart, and I was like pulled out of the car and taken to a vision of the nurse handing me my daughter, my firstborn, 4 pounds, 12 ounces. She was this tiniest little thing, handed me my daughter, and I'm looking down at her as if it was the first time. And then it was immediately to a picture that I was immediately taken to a vision of a picture that my mother-in-law took right before my wife was able to meet our daughter, where I'm leaning over her. She's just given birth, and I'm leaning over Chelsea, and I'm kind of just like, it was like stroking her hair, telling her, oh, Olivia's beautiful. She's perfect. You did so good. Like, we have this vantage point picture that my mother-in-law took that means a lot to me. It's just me, just lovingly staring into my wife's eyes and telling her, like, getting to tell her, like, we're parents, we made it. And then it was immediately pulled from that to the doctor handing me my son after emergency C-section, and we almost lost him. So now I'm holding my second baby. And it was just this instant cycle of like new life. And then I was pulled back. And the only thing that I took from all of that, and then John left, and I just felt this like crazy emotion of like happiness and love and light. And what I took from that was, it was kind of a really intense trip. And I was never the guy to do anything like this. But what I took from all of this, obviously you can tell it still kind of hits me hard, was because of what we're doing with Dad, Bods, and Beards, because of what we're doing with everything else we try to attempt to do, is I needed to feel the depths of darkness to new life, because I feel like you and I have been in these crazy, crazy dark areas, and the people who listen to the show either have experienced them themselves or they know people who have, and that allows us to experience those emotions so that we can hopefully breathe new life into people of like, there is, look at this side of life. You don't have to sit and wallow in all of these things and accept them as they are. Like, you have the power to change your life, but you've got to act. So that breath work to me was like, I was exhausted. I was exhausted from that moment. I woke up and I like kind of woke up out of it, and I almost didn't know what to think. I sat up and I think I literally was just like, holy, what was that? And call it what you may, call it spirituality, call it, a higher plane, call it whatever. Whether I showed it, my brain showed it to me, or a higher power showed it to me, or the universe showed it to me, or whatever. I needed that 100% because it just reaffirmed to me that all of the effort that we're putting into this is 100%.
It's a lot of effort.
Necessary. It is like what we are doing is necessary because so many people are benefiting from it, not just us. So it's like I processed all this crazy guilt. I was reminded about why I'm doing everything with my family and I love them and what I want for their future. And then it was like, this is why I honestly feel like you and I are kind of called to this work of what we're doing of men's mental health and pushing people towards allowing men to have the space to talk and to heal. Because for so long we haven't been, like, men have been told to just shut up. So that was just this huge release for me. And I know that might be a little bit of like a weird off-putting episode for some people.
Well, I appreciate you sharing.
Sorry, I know I kind of riffed for a long time on that.
But... Are you joking me? I love that. Like, don't say sorry for feeling emotions.
Yeah, I know. You're like a hypocrite.
No, I love that. I love that you got to experience something like that. And Candace and I talk, and I've told you this before, and I think I even said it on this podcast before, is that I feel that we are going through financial hardships.
Yeah.
Like, due to unforeseen circumstances.
Yeah.
But, and we'll continue to go through those because when we're out of them, not only can we help and bless other people like we've been helped and blessed.
Yeah.
But that I have that understanding.
Yeah.
And that empathy, so that when someone comes to me or someone, that there's no judgment, there's just love.
Yeah.
Because I know we don't want to be like this. And I know no one wants to feel like that.
100%.
And I think you going through those certain situations in your mind and during the breath work and just your life in general, you and I have different, 100% different experiences.
Mm-hmm.
But they're all going to be the benefit for others in the long run. And it sucks. It sucks that we had to go through them. And it sucks that we're still going through some of them. But I think it brings out so much love that we wouldn't have otherwise.
Yeah. And it is, I think the point in us sharing this is not to be like, hey guys, look at how amazing we're doing in our lives. Because there's a million things that we're still struggling with. I think what we try to do with this is to show people of like, you can change your life. Everything in your brain is telling that you can't. A lot of times, let's be honest. Mm-hmm. Your brain 9 times out of 10 will tell you that why something's not going to work or why it can't, unless you force it to see a different perspective. And sometimes to force yourself to see a different perspective, you got to do something different. Meaning you got to go somewhere, you got to connect with different people, you got to try therapy, you got to try reading some freaking books or change what content you're absorbing.
That's a big one.
Content absorption changes your mood to a level, like a molecular freaking level. Like you don't understand. Like when I started doing not interested, and forcing the algorithm to show me things that I knew that were better for me, and then interacting with those things is when it changes how much, like you don't realize how much your mood changes just by what you consume on TV and all that stuff. And I'm not saying like, oh, don't watch movies that are, action movies or whatever. No, I'm talking about like hate and judgment online or like you will buy my course and I like, that's not how men improve. Mm-hmm. Like loudness does not equal improvement in health in like healthy improvement. So this is to show you that like there are healthy ways out there to improve yourself.
That there's a thing called forgiveness. We all 100% make mistakes.
Dudes are so freaking hard on ourselves. It's not even funny.
And if we make a mistake, it eats us up. And also, if someone else makes a mistake, sometimes we're like judging them, and we all need to get away from that because we all make mistakes.
And one connection that I want to make, and one like point I want to make as we're kind of wrapping up is, everyone always associates manliness with toughness. Toughness. I think that's
And gregarious.
Yeah, I think that's bullcrap. Because the definition of toughness is very.
There's that word again.
Toughness. Toughness is a word.
I know.
I think it's very open to interpretation, right? You think about like, oh well, like that one comment we got months ago, like, oh, our shell shock soldiers from World War II, whatever. Okay, if the toughest men, which are guys that are going out and defending their countries, right, that are soldiers, men and women, if mental health wasn't a thing and mental illness wasn't a thing and silent struggles that get bottled up so intensely that they explode wasn't a thing, then losing 22 veterans and first responders per day to suicide wouldn't be a thing either. Like they might be the toughest by some people's definition, but the thing is like they're struggling with their battles because they've been told in their line of work and what they do is don't talk about it. You can't talk about it. But they're dealing with such intense demons from PTSD and mental health, mental illness, things that they've seen and friends that they've lost, that and all of the guilt that they're still struggling with thoughts of suicide. And then a lot of them follow through with it. That's not even counting the immense amount of men that aren't involved in armed forces and first responders that are taking their own lives. So I would kind of, my challenge is to say, like, what do you have to lose besides your life to try something different and break outside your comfort zone and be a little bit vulnerable and talk to somebody? You're going to talk to people that are going to be like, I don't want to talk about this, or they might use it against you. You're going to have a hard time maybe finding a group of people or some friends that will be there for you. But once you find them, you're going to wonder how you ever lived without them.
Some of the toughest people I know is my daughter and my wife.
Yeah.
And now seeing what they've both went through, seeing what I went through with them and all that kind of stuff, it's just, I look at them and I'm just in awe of how strong she is and how strong my wife is and how like open they are. And I'm just so grateful that they are.
That's beautiful.
I'm so grateful that she can say, hey, Tyson, or Dad, this is what's going on right now.
Yeah.
And I'm just grateful that she can do that she can trust me and all that. So like you were saying, it's like, find your people, find the people you can trust. And if you feel like you can't, there's people out there.
I think that's beautiful what you said, because that is also maybe one thing we don't talk enough about is we talk about men's mental health and stuff like that. And I know there are some people that are very like, oh, men have enough space in this world.
Yeah.
They have enough space in this world. I don't think they have enough healthy space. The challenge I want to push out, and hopefully the algorithm will help this one get out more, is you talk about Candace being insanely strong and huge point of strength in your life. I would not be here without my wife.
Agreed.
And I physically would not be here. And the amount of trauma and pain that I have put that woman through in my darkest days, and she is still here fighting her own battles, and as well as being literally super mom, is nothing short of amazing and astounding to me. So my challenge on this is like, the challenge is going to go out to women, and this is not in any way, shape, or form supposed to be misogynistic or mansplaining or whatever. Having been in a position where I had a woman hold space for me and my feelings, my wife, it changes everything. When a woman holds space for a man, and if you're in a relationship that you feel like you can't listen to your partner talk about their feelings on a very deep personal level, I would suggest maybe exploring that a little bit more, because if I didn't have my wife to literally lay everything out on the table to, I would not be here. And I know there is a lot of men out there that don't have that because they feel like it gets used against them, or they feel like, oh, the last time I shared this, it changed my wife's perspective of me because I couldn't.
You know how cool Candace is? Candace is way upset with me. Like this is a couple weeks ago, way upset, and rightfully so. I'm dumb sometimes. Just like every person is, man or woman, but she's really upset. Tyson, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? And I kind of got defensive. I hung up the phone.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, I just need to tell her the truth. I call her, and next thing I know, I'm telling her the truth of why I'm doing what I'm doing. And she's like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I see what you're seeing. Thank you for telling me. And not a fight after that. And I told her I'm going to do better. But it was all because of mental health and why I was doing what I was doing. And it's like sometimes you buy things to cope with depression.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And that's what I did. And I bought some things, perhaps Dixon's, to cope with like feeling good. Like I needed some sort of, I needed something.
Yeah.
Because I was empty and, all that kind of stuff. And she got mad, and rightfully so. I'm like, dude, they're not cheap.
Spent a bunch of money without talking to her.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, and I'm like, Candace, I did this because I feel like I'm buying this to feel complete. Because I'm just like something's missing right now, and I'm so stressed, and this just made me happy. And she's like, okay, don't do it again. Thank you for being honest. I love you. Yeah. And then she slapped me.
But I'm glad you said that, because that's kind of wrapping it up. I wanted that to just be the challenge of like, I know that can go both ways. I'm saying, to the women out there that have a man in their life, to be able to hold a place for them, to be able to have that vulnerability, and to not just judge them instantly or use it against them. Right. But the same thing goes true of like, for the other side, is that men also learn to be a little bit more empathetic and a little bit more emotional, and hold a space for your wife to be able to talk to you. Put your phone down, look her in the eyes, let her talk to you, and try to hear where she's coming from. Because when I do that, last quick experience I'll share, then we'll wrap this up, is it's amazing the progression that has happened since we've started the show. Because at first, I know our wives a little bit were like, you're going to talk
Just
about everything on a podcast, and it's another thing you guys are doing, versus sitting there at Olive Garden last night, me and my wife, we've got our little kids, and my wife is saying these like positive things about like, the calling to help guys and the impact that we're having. And so it's just like, it's amazing to see the support coming from her, from something that seemed very scary in the beginning. So,
or skeptical, not your wife, but mine.
But just in general.
It's like, this is another thing you're doing.
The challenge is to hold space for somebody that means something to you in your life, whether that's husband to wife, wife to husband, partner to partner. Hold a space for the people that mean a lot to you in your life, because you never know what they're dealing with on underneath unless you let them tell you. So,
the more you know. All right, toodles.
Toodles.
Thank you so much for listening, guys. It means the world to us. If you have a chance, please give us a 5-star review, as well as write something a little pretty in there so that we know that you know that we know that you care. Anyway, have a great day, guys. I can't do it.
Dude, that was good. I liked that. You can't redo it without laughing. That was good.